Hi everyone, here is AhkTaar and welcome back on my YouTube channel, and today I'm gonna talk about this boss in this video, Rumil. In my opinion, he is the hardest one in the Elemental City at the moment. You are gonna understand why. First of all, we have 4 minions here, 3 different types of minions. Let me explain how they work. First one is the Scorpio. He deals direct damage only using the basic attack. He has only one skill and then a passive, and every time an ally is gonna detonate a burn or deal detonation damage on one of your on one of your hero, then he's gonna pursue the target. And he deals a crazy amount of direct damage using the basic attack. So you don't want to take detonation on your heroes. Trust me, you don't want to. Then you have the dog. The dog is gonna inflict a burn on a single target and deal some detonation damage. And it's gonna trigger the pursuit of the Scorpio. So you want to be careful not to take any attack of the dog, otherwise you're gonna die. They are gonna one-shot your heroes. They deal a super high amount of damage, and every time there is gonna be a detonation, the dog, with his passive, is gonna heal everyone. So you don't want to have detonation on your heroes. But the bigger threat here, in my opinion, is the Drake. Because the Drake is the only one that has an AoE attack on the basic attack. And every time he attack, he places a burn on all your heroes. And so that means if you have one HP one burn on 2 heroes, for example, if a single target enemy decide to target one of your hero without a burn, it's safe. You're not gonna die. But with the Drake, you have a burn on all your heroes. That means no matter the hero the enemy decide to attack, it's gonna detonate the burn on your hero, and then you're gonna lose. So here, now let's talk about the boss. He has a passive that protects his ally. You can't kill enemies, the minions, if they are not under a control effect. So if you don't control them with a stun, hypnotize, horrify, freeze, etc., then you can't kill them. They will be stuck at 1% HP remaining every time. So you want to bring some control units in your team to lower the damage you receive and to kill the minions. But the boss, using his ultimate, is gonna cleanse the controls on all minions and revive them if they are dead. But it's interesting when he revives them, because they lose all their turn meta. That means even if this one had a 90% turn meta when he died, when the boss is gonna revive him, he is gonna have 0% turn meta. That means if you have your cooldowns on your heroes to control them again, you are pretty safe. So be careful about that. Something else. You want your control heroes to be faster than the boss. On the stage 70, the boss has 2200 speed. So you have to have more than that on your controller heroes. So you can freeze, for example, all minions before the boss acts, because as you can see, this is the first turn. He has his ultimate in cooldown, so he's gonna use the basic attack. It's a single target attack, and he is gonna make all his allies pursue the target. So if you don't control them, you are dead. You're gonna lose one hero. So be really careful with that. So I think I covered everything. So let's run the fight and see what happens. So here I have a Nicholas exclusive, 0 exclusive. If you have a Nicholas exclusive to minimum on your guild, use him for this content. If you use 2 freezers, as you can see right here, this is what I am doing. I'm using AhkTaar to freeze all enemies. It's super easy to freeze enemies with AhkTaar. He is one of the best controller hero to have in this content. Trust me, he is just amazing. Because using the basic attack, he's gonna increase his turn meta by 30% every time. And if you use him with Ben Austin and Catherine, then every time he's gonna pursue or counter attack, he's gonna get 30% turn meta boost. And so he's gonna play really often. Also, at the moment, he has 4 unique buffs on him. That means mine has 98% effect hit without this buff, and with it he has now 258% effect hit, so he cannot miss a control on enemies, and it's on skill 2. That means he has a 3 turn cooldowns only, and he increases his own turn meta every turn, so it is a super efficient controller unit for this dungeon. So the goal here is to use Nicholas, because your AhkTaar here or your other hero to freeze enemies is gonna freeze them, and then Nicholas, if he applies a freeze on enemy that already have a freeze, he is gonna increase the duration of the freeze by 1 turn. And also he reduces the speed by 40% of all enemies, and this is super efficient. Super efficient. If you have him exclusive to, every time he's gonna inflict a freeze on a target, he is gonna reduce the cooldown of his skill. That means you can perma-freeze enemies using a Nicholas exclusive 2, so it's your best ally for this content. But here, as you can see, I don't have a Nicholas exclusive 1 nor exclusive 2. So I'm using this. And then I'm trying to deal some damage to the boss, but this team is not strong enough because enemies are controlled and my team is dealing a crazy amount of damage on the boss. You're gonna see that. It's really efficient, but I'm not able to kill the boss as fast as I should. Look at this. He has all debuffs on him and my heroes have all the attack buffs on them. Oh, one more thing with Nicholas. As you just saw, he used his ultimate. Normally the ultimate cleans the controls on allies, but Nicholas, when he inflicts a freeze, it cannot be cleansed. And so this is super efficient here. Otherwise, they would have played and killed me. So, as you can see now, they are not frozen anymore. The boss is gonna take a lot of more damage. I can control them again with AhkTaar. As I said, it's a super short cooldown and it's incredibly great thanks to his turn meta boost. So as you can see, the boss took a lot of damage, but enemies now are not frozen anymore. And so, I am gonna die. As you can see, the boss used his basic attack, all enemies pursued my Catherine, and now they are pursuing every one of my units, and so they die. So now let me show you another kind of team. Okay, this time this team can work, but I did a mistake and I didn't realize that I did a mistake, okay? Yeah, I was a bit stupid here. So I'm using Quinlan. If you have a Quinlan in your friend list, you can use him because he is amazing in here. He can freeze in AoE and play first at the beginning of the wave if you have 2 exclusives on him. It is pretty nice. If you don't have 2 exclusives on him, you can put a lot of speed on him in order to outspeed enemies and the boss. It's really important. But it's hard on the DPS to have more than 2200 speed, to be honest. So as you can see, the boss is taking a lot of damage. Now all enemies are revived. But I have some controls. With my Quinlan and my Nicholas, I can control them. If I had Nicholas exclusive 1 here, it would have been better. Because as you can see, enemies are gonna play. But my Nicholas doesn't have a speed buff. And enemies has a 2100 speed. My Nicholas is faster, but this turn he is not gonna play before them. If I had the exclusive 1, I would have 40% more speed on all my heroes, and so I would have overlapped enemies and perma-freeze them, but it's not the case. Now I can rely only on the freeze of my Quinlan. So I'm gonna try it. One enemy is not frozen, but it's okay because he doesn't deal a lot of damage if he is the only one to attack. And now I have the ultimate of my Nicholas, but I'm gonna do a mistake. And all enemies are frozen with a speed reduction, but look at this. Now, if I used my ultimate here, I would have killed this one, this enemy, and this enemy for sure, and maybe this one too. But for a reason I don't know, I don't understand why, I decided to use the basic attack instead. Because I wanted to maximize the damage inflicted on the boss maybe, so I wanted to apply more HP burnings on him. Maybe I should have won this fight if I did use the ultimate of Hezonja here. Because you are gonna see what is gonna happen. The Scorpio is not frozen anymore. And I decided to use the basic attack. Probably I could freeze him if I decided to use the second ability of Queenland, but I did a lot of mistakes during this run. And I didn't realize that I did these mistakes. Otherwise, maybe I would have retried with this team and beat this floor. But now I'm gonna lose. For sure I'm gonna lose. Because I lost Hezonja. And he is my highest damage dealer in this team. And look at this. Now I'm dying because enemies are not controlled. And my heroes are dying just like this. So I'm happy that I didn't beat this boss with this team, because so I could try something else. And look at this. Now in this team I'm using Mamuk. Yeah, I'm using Mamuk, and you're gonna understand why. With his second ability he can apply a taunt and an immortal on him for 2 turns. 2 turns is huge, especially with him, because with his ultimate he can increase the duration of the taunt and immortal by 1 turn. And this is super strong, because he has always a taunt on him. All enemies are doing direct damage. The boss, single target damage. The boss is doing single target attacks too. So they all have to focus Mamuk. You just have to take care about the Drakes, because they can deal an AoE attack. So, and also using his basic attack, he can inflict attack down 40%, but Horrify. Horrify is a control. And this is super strong, because that means against the boss wave, you can control enemies. The Horrify is considered as a control effect, and so you can kill them. And this is super nice. So now, with Mamuk, you only have to take care about the Drake. If you control the Drake, if you kill the Drake, if you have the taunt on Mamuk, you are 100% sure to beat this floor. And this is why I freaking love this mob. Look at this. Every enemy is targeting Mamuk, but Mamuk cannot die. Mamuk cannot die, and this is just amazing. And now look at this. The Drake is gonna die because he is controlled, thanks to the Horrify. And you can control enemies. If you don't want to take too many attacks, you can control enemies with the Fear. Just use Ben Austin and Mamuk, and with the Pursuit, he's gonna inflict the Horrify. And I like it so much. It is so great. The Drake is dead, and so now I can target the boss only. It's taking a lot of times, a lot of turns. As you can see, it's taking a lot of turns. So you have to inflict a lot of damage on the boss. Otherwise, if you don't kill him fast enough, you are gonna lose because of the limitation of turns. So let me accelerate it just a bit. As you can see, it's working. But let me show you something else. So I want to show you the end of the fight. So now, as you can see, 230 turns. The boss is almost dead, 27% HP remaining. Enemies are dead, they are gonna be revived. But I can tank. The boss is not doing a lot of damage without the minions. The minions can destroy you. The boss alone cannot destroy you. You can tank him. This is why with this team you have only to focus the Drake. So now I have Nicholas to freeze. I don't know with this if with this team you can replace Nicholas by another hero to control enemies, to be honest. Because the boss can cleanse other controls with the ultimates, and this hero Nicholas can lower the resistance of enemies. If you don't have him, maybe you have to use a hero with a high amount of effect hit to apply every time the controls. Or have a Mamuk with a lot of effect hit also. And the speed reduction on his ultimate is pretty awesome. If you don't have him, maybe you can replace him by a Sinov. Sinov can freeze if the enemy has a speed reduction on him. And she can lower the speed of enemies. If you use Sinov with Ben Austin, you have more chance to target the Drake and to control him. So maybe it can work if you replace Nicholas by Sinov. I'm not sure about that, it's purely theoretical, but I'm sure it can work. So as you can see, the boss is dead, and now only enemies remaining, but they have a lot of HP, max HP buffs on them, so it's taking a lot of time to kill them. And look at the number of turns. If I accelerate it just a bit, I beat the stage in 285 turns, so I was super close to the limitation. And on this team I don't have many exclusives on my heroes. I mean, on legendary ones. Catherine, you need for sure exclusive 3. Ben Austin, exclusive 3 is mandatory. Then you don't need the exclusive on Mamuk. And Hezonja, you need exclusives on him, at least the first one. And the second one helped me a lot to deal a lot of damage. If I didn't have the second exclusive, probably I would have lost because of the turn limitation. Also, I forgot to mention something. If you have Nazil with Ben Austin, you can use them. It's a great combo in this content. Look at this. If you have a lot of speed and effect hit on Nazil, it's gonna do an awesome job with Ben Austin. Using this second skill, he can freeze, he can control enemies at the beginning of the fight, and so it's gonna be super strong against the Rumil. And look at this, using the pursuit of Ben Austin, you can also freeze enemies. Look. Nazil just froze the enemy using the pursuit of Ben Austin. This is awesome. Probably you can use him against the Rumil to, if you have Mamuk also instead of Nicholas, in order to try to freeze the Drake. Or maybe in another kind of team. It's gonna work. This combo Ben Austin Nazil is awesome for this content. For the waves, you have no way to lose if you use them. It's awesome. So that was all for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If it's the case, as usual, please like, comment and subscribe, and then see you in the next one. Bye bye.
Infinite Magicraid. Play to slay.